Sonic Frontiers is the game that doesn't seem to want to stop. In a very unusual turn of direction for a Sonic game, we're seeing Frontiers receive routine updates and further development from Sega and Sonic Team, keeping the game alive whilst incorporating suggestions and building on perhaps under-delivered mechanics from the original release. Just this week, we've seen new features such as the jukebox and challenge mode added to the game. However, there's still lots more to come in the updates 2 and 3 later on, and even beyond that, we're already hearing some information about what Sonic Frontiers 2 may have in store for us. However, not only do we have all of these announced projects coming on the way, but the lead developer behind Sonic Frontiers, Kishimoto, has recently been on a spree of sharing information and insight on Twitter that a lot of you have probably heard or seen, where he's talked about the behind-the-scenes development as well as his own aspirations and hopes for the series. And through this, we've learned quite a few interesting details. When asked by fans about if they'll see certain characters and their favourite characters and whatnot, we learned that there's an actual real chance in the future that we can see characters presumed to be long forgotten by Sega or that were just inconvenient to ever bring back. Even characters such as the Freedom Fighters, Sally Acorn, are included in this, so it goes way back to what's possible. But that would mean more recent characters would presumably be more likely. Mephiles the Dark, despite coming from Sonic 06, is respected by a fair few members in the Sonic community and has, for some reason, been receiving merchandise over the last couple years. So there's something going on there, and I'm hoping we'll learn more about that in times to come. However, Infinite the Jackal, who debuted in Sonic Forces, I believe stands to be one of the characters with the biggest chances of getting in, now that we've learned that Sega are actually looking into bringing in more characters once again. Not only is he amongst one of the newest characters added to the Sonic franchise in general, but he was also added to Sonic Forces Speed Battle not too long ago. Before this, he had been completely absent from everything after the release of Forces, including Team Sonic Racing, where Zavok was included over Infinite. I was under the assumption we would never see him again until he appeared in the mobile game, and now that we know that there are a chance characters can come back for story purpose, the addition of him in the mobile game could have been a prelude to the fact that Sonic Team are actually planning on using him seriously not too far in the future. People seem to have really liked the concept of Infinite, how he was on paper, his past, his mercenary actions, his team, his reasoning, his logic, what he thinks about the other characters. We didn't really get to learn that much about him in the game or even on the extended media, and unfortunately his execution was what many people found lacking. Regardless of how interesting he may have appeared on paper, the way he was portrayed made him seem like a very whiny and pathetic individual, and only the people who are the most attached to the character could defend how he was in the game itself, especially the way he was removed from the game, where it seemed like he was getting swept under the rug and just deleted. So having a chance to revise some of this and give Infinite a new chance separate from Eggman, where we can see him develop on his own, would be a welcomed addition. There have been some rumours and potential statements from some leaks that Sonic Team have said or are thinking internally there may be an in-universe connection between Infinite and Sage. Obviously, visuals look very similar between those two characters, and that was one of the main points in my illusion theory before the game released, where I suspected there may be a connection with Infinite and Sage. Playing the game, it seemed like there was no connection whatsoever, but if rumours are to be believed, there actually is some sort of in-universe connection, but we just don't know what that is yet. So if that is true, and then if you consider the fact that Infinite recently came into the mobile game, and that the fan base has been pretty public that they like him at least in concept, you could see how all these elements combine, and Sonic Team may think maybe there's some value in bringing Infinite back, even if it's just one more time. A potential Infinite return wouldn't even need to be a major event such as the character himself showing up. Instead, they might try to be slightly more subtle and have Infinite influence Sage, maybe even to the point of a short boss battle where a corrupted Sage controlled or puppeteered by Infinite requires the player to fight back, using moves that reference his attacks and forces with the purple cubes that can change your environment and cause new hazards to show up if you collide with them. You might think that's a bit of a stretch, but looking at the very recent update Sonic Frontiers has received, there are subtle, hidden, and secret changes those DLCs bring, such as the ability to unlock Power Boost in all of the cyberspace levels, which wasn't advertised as part of the marketing scheme. So it's not above board with Sega. They could decide to put some hidden Easter eggs into the future updates as well. Alongside this, it's quite clear based on the performance of the Sonic movies that Sega has begun to take stories more seriously in general within the games. And Sonic Frontiers' presentation is a clear example of this. The story was in the marketing, the cutscenes have some focus put onto them, and the main motivation of completing the game's content is to see where the story takes you. A deeper story gives characters greater importance within the game itself, and thus leaves room for more exploration of extra characters and different scenarios. Infinite, as we've already gone over, had numerous unresolved or underexplained plot points, which could easily become the central piece of a future narrative should Sega wish it. Likewise, the story focus could mean that in the final wave of Frontiers DLC updates, other characters, such as Shadow maybe, might make a cameo appearance in the game, even if they won't actually be playable. So far, it's quite reasonable to assume that Tails, Knuckles and Amy will be playable in that final update, and I had a hunch Shadow might be, but even if he's not, he and others could show up for the story. We have no idea what angle that DLC is going to take yet. Based on all of the information as well as all the rumours, do I believe Infinite will make an appearance in Sonic Frontiers? I don't. I do not think we're going to see Infinite in the remaining updates. Though he might be mentioned or teased, I actually believe Infinite would return in the sequel to Sonic Frontiers. I'm not certain on how vital to the story he will be, because it depends on the exact narrative Sega wishes to tell. If it is going to investigate if he has any connections to Sage, or what he ended up doing after the events of Forces, making him a very important piece, then we would see quite a bit of him. But if not, then it's likely he would be a side character, maybe a side villain in the way Zavok tends to be used. But either way, I think it's far more likely to see him in the sequel now that Sonic Team have secured a bigger budget through Frontiers, rather than in the remaining updates. Whatever the case may be, it is clear that Sonic Frontiers still has a lot to offer its players, and perhaps a few more hidden secrets up its sleeve. What do you think about the opportunity that these DLCs present? Do you expect to see hidden characters such as Tangle or Infinite show up in this game? Or perhaps do you agree with me that it's more likely to happen in a sequel? Do let me know in the comments down below, share your opinions, and help the conversation grow. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you have a great day, and to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.